Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
He's in the building!
Drink the moment. Drink it.
I said, empty your mind.
Coquettish and coy. Ow. Ow.
What?
And there's people that are dying.
The wickedly talented.
More than great. It was historic.
Crack is
World.
Oh, good for you.
I have to apologize.
One of the hottest.
Hello, and welcome back to The Reheat, a podcast that re-examines the spiciest celebrity news and scandals of yesteryear and asks, how do we react to the same events if they transpired today? I'm Sadaf Hassan.
And I'm Sarah Zahagian, and this week we will be discussing a couple that has evolved from aspirational to cautionary tale, Dax Shepard and Kristen Bell. The couple, who have been married since 2013, have spawned countless listicles about all the times they epitomized hashtag relationship goals, as one admiring e-online put it. However, the couple have recently made the world rethink our idealization of their union. So, is this power couple headed for bad times? We'll have to see. Kristen Bell is certainly one of the most relevant celebrities of the 21st century, and that is not hyperbole. I do mean relevant, because there's never a time when this person isn't in a cult hit or a cultural phenomenon of some sort. She's even one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people of 2025. She has made herself a celebrity who is most central to celebrity culture in the millennial era, in my experience. She is, I feel like, the just quintessential millennial TV star, and maybe even just the quintessential millennial star, because she just has so many jobs, just like your average millennial. She doesn't do just one thing, right? She's diversified, and I think she understood that. So she represents millennials. She's the type of celebrity we would have, right?
100%. Yes.
Exactly. This is the woman who has done everything, right? She was Veronica Mars on Veronica Mars. She was the voice of the titular Gossip Girl. She was Anna in Frozen. She's been on countless TV shows, including The Good Place, and now Nobody Wants This. She's also done lots of movies. Dare I Forget Forgetting Sarah Marshall. This woman is always there. There is a Kristen Bell for every era of your life. That's what I always say, right? No matter who you are. I remember vividly when my daughter was 3, I was watching the reboot of Gossip Girl, for which Kristen Bell did do the voiceover. And my daughter walked in and was like, Anna. So,
wow. Oh
yes.
my God.
This woman, I refer to her as our emotional support voice, because she's just, you feel soothed by hearing her voice. She's done so much great voiceover work. Bell's got you covered no matter what you want to watch. For his part, Dax has also done a lot to make this couple a power couple, becoming one of the most powerful podcasters in the world, thanks to Armchair Expert, and the estimated $80 million deal he inked with Wondery in 2024.
Ooh.
As of 2021, Armchair Expert had an estimated 20 million downloads per month, which is astronomical. I mean, just his platform is huge. He is, in a certain sphere, he is one of the biggest celebrities. Like, he's the George Clooney of podcasting.
Oh my God. That is
Well,
so
he
wild.
is, though. He is.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. That's so disgusting and true.
I mean, other than Joe Rogan, it's really hard to think of somebody who's bigger in podcasting. I hate Joe Rogan. I'm just saying, like, it's hard to think of anyone who's bigger.
Yeah.
So
Alex Cooper. It's like really a group of awful people.
Yeah, Alex Cooper. I guess she would be bigger. She has certainly negotiated bigger paydays for herself.
She's huge.
But they are peers, I would say. He's in that upper echelon. So, Sadaf, did you ever ship this couple? How do you think of them separately and as a pair?
This is such a fun question. I'm so happy we're talking about these two because, as you said, Kristen Bell has been around forever. I was a fan of hers for a very long time, deeply. I think so many of us were. Veronica Mars, Gossip Girl. Honestly, frankly, actually, everything that you mentioned, I love her. Big Veronica Mars fan over here. Now, on the other hand, Dax. Wow, Dax. Not my cup of tea personally ever, really. However, I started to find the two of them kind of charming and cute together at some point in time because I noticed that they were always a unit. Like when they would hit the red carpets or they would do interviews, they would talk about each other frequently. I thought it was kind of charming. I started listening to Armchair Experts. This is such a confession that I do not want to put out there, but I listened for quite some time and relatively passionately. I got very frustrated over time because he's a bit of a blockhead. Like he can be quite ignorant and he does a lot of armchairing. Like I know that's the theme of the show, but it was quite frustrating and I also found him to be very toxic in some ways. Like he'd often talk about his relationship with Kristen. I hated what I was hearing. I felt like she could do so much better. He came across so awful to me as time went by. And I'm so curious, Sarah, if you've listened to the podcast and what you've made of it.
I have listened to it. I've never been a fan. Listen, I think it's gotten a bit better over time because in preparation for this episode, I listened to some recent work. And I do think he has learned from experience, which I do respect. I respect that he's seeing this as a craft and as a profession. It is getting better. I listened to a recent episode he did with Mel Robbins, who's also an interesting celebrity.
Yeah.
Who kind of is a lawyer and then accidentally sort of became a self-help guru, if you believe her it was accidental. I kind of do actually believe her that it was accidental. And it was a good conversation. And it was interesting because they're both from Michigan. And so they had an interesting conversation about just the culture of Michigan, how unions inform the culture of Michigan, how the working class spirit informs it. And I felt like he was pretty articulate. I felt like he wasn't speaking out of turn. So I don't love Armchair Expert, but I do think he's improving, which I respect.
Yeah, he's got a co-host too, Monica Padman, who I could not stand for quite some time because I felt like she did this thing where she would let him take over at all moments. She would never speak up. She would never speak up for the guest. She would never speak up for herself. And I think that pairing of them was very confusing to me. And then at the same time, I found it confusing how she factored into his relationship with Kristen because she lived like next door. The three of them were together all the time. The way they would talk about it was as if they were a throuple. And also Monica sounds just like Kristen, which is a slightly eerie. I just started to find the whole situation odd. And frankly, I think Kristen can do way better.
Yes. I mean, the stuff with Monica is weird. And let me tell you, it hasn't gotten that much better. Like she is still his hype man.
Oh, God.
It's a little bit strange. But anyway, having said that, I don't think he deserves $80 million. I don't think he's a better conversationalist than we are. So I'm taking this personally. Someone paid
me too.
$80 million. But that's capitalism for you. Okay. So I've never been a fan of them as a couple. I like Kristen as a performer and I actually hate her as a celebrity. I really dislike her as a celebrity, but I really respect her as a performer. I like almost everything she does. Some notable exceptions being When in Rome, because Kristen will do anything you pay Kristen to do.
It's
right?
True.
She is a lady for hire. She will do whatever you pay her to do. Kristen likes money. I admire that. I admire that she is just out there to get rich.
I do too.
Yeah. Sometimes she does really quality stuff like Veronica Mars. And then sometimes she says, I want a new house. And then she does House of Lies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's a very interesting actor. I fell off the bandwagon with her because, frankly, Dax poisoned the water for me a little bit. And I felt like maybe part of it is that she'll just do anything. Like, I don't have a lot of respect for that, I guess. I don't know. I'm perplexed. I think I'm just tired of the woman, I think.
Well, as I said, she's so relevant, but that can make you oversaturated, right? Because there isn't a genre she's not a part of. There isn't an area of popular culture she isn't a part of because she appears on Armchair Experts. So she's doing podcasting as well as TV, as well as movies and voiceover work. And she's just everywhere all the time. I think she's very talented. I think she's clearly incredibly hardworking. I think she's one of the hardest working people in Hollywood. I think to an extent she knows to stay in her lane. She isn't trying to create a clothing line to my knowledge.
Not yet.
She will do any endorsement you pay her to do. And that
She's
is something
doing
I don't
NYX
like
right now, which I love actually. Canadian brand. I like the link there. The ads are cute. I don't know.
But it's very unfortunate that the ads came out right before her scandal that we will discuss later. I feel
know,
bad
it's
for
true.
Nyx, actually.
You're so right.
I felt so
actually.
bad for them that I bought something in their sale that I wasn't intending to buy because just like, I feel bad for you guys. You paid Kristen Bell all this money,
Yeah.
and now she's kind of problematic. Okay, so let's talk about the early lives of this couple before they became a we. That is me paraphrasing, nobody wants this. Okay. Dax Shepard grew up in Southeast Michigan, and his parents divorced when he was only 3 years old. He had an objectively hard childhood, I have to say. His mother married 4 times. Not all of his stepfathers were good guys. He had 3 of them over the course of his life. Dax also was diagnosed with dyslexia, and so school was sometimes challenging for him. He was sexually abused as a child, which is awful and terrible. His childhood was just not a great time. There was a lot of dysfunction. He says that the sexual abuse is a lot of what contributed to his later substance abuse problem. So he believes that the years of substance abuse were likely his attempt to deal with that trauma. He told Playboy in 2012 that he, quote, just loved to get fucked up, drinking, cocaine, opiates, marijuana, diet pills, pain pills, everything. And so that definitely tracks. It's somebody who's trying to forget what happened. And he went through a lot of trauma. I mean, 3 stepfathers, all the sexual abuse, all of that. Dyslexia at a time where we weren't really good at dealing with learning differences. There's a lot. He's a very resilient person, and I do really admire that about him. He was pretty intellectual and eventually graduated magna cum laude from UCLA. He also started a recovery journey for his substance use disorder in 2004, thanks to the help of rehab and 12-step programs. So he has been honest about having a relapse in the 2020s, in the early 2020s. And he was given painkillers by a doctor. And that is very common. That happens to a lot of people. But he's been in this recovery journey for over 20 years and mostly sober for over 20 years. That's a huge accomplishment. As an actor, Dax got his start with the Groundlings, the legendary improv troupe where Melissa McCarthy has also performed. Eventually, he met Ashton Kutcher while auditioning for Punk'd. Ashton really liked Dax, and so he helped him get an agent, and Dax began making movies, like the 2009 comedy hit Without a Paddle. So, Sadaf, were you a fan of Dax's early work? Did you see movies like Employee of the Month, which co-starred Jessica Simpson?
You know what, I actually did. And that's because I love Jessica. And also because I was, you know what? This was that era. Like, I watched so much crap of the time. And he was in a lot of it. And you know what? I never liked him. I wish I could say I did. He's one of those actors who is kind of annoying and will pop up in things here and there as like the third supporting actor to provide a few laughs, but he was never my cup of tea. I didn't find him particularly attractive either. Like, it was just not, he wasn't doing anything for me. And I feel like that I'm coming off quite mean, but it's the truth. Like, did I watch Without a Paddle? I don't even think I watched Without a Paddle, but I saw him in Punk'd. And I was like, okay, I thought, oh, is he working in production work now? Like, I didn't realize that was technically an acting role.
No one did. No.
So I don't know. Honestly, up until his podcast, I've considered him to be a bit third rate, but I'm curious what you thought.
I mean, I definitely didn't think he was a good actor.
No.
He was like less talented Dane Cook, and Dane Cook is not talented. So that's
the comparison. Thank you, Sarah.
Exactly.
Ooh.
He was always chewing on the scenery.
Yeah.
Which, if you have to do things that are that big to get a laugh, you're not that good a comic performer. If that's your only thing that you can do, if you have to chew on the scenery and just go really big. And I'm not saying that going big always means you're a bad performer. There are lots of great comic performers. I'm trying to think of people who go big a lot, and I can't. Their names escape me right now. But there are some who can, right? The straight man needs a foil, but I just feel like he doesn't have any range.
No. I agree. You know what I did like him in, though, and because this just completely slipped my mind, and now I feel really bad that I forgot about it, but he was in Parenthood. And that is a show that I loved so deeply. If you haven't watched it, please go watch it. And you know what? I liked him in that. And now I'm realizing, if I connect the dots here, because it was a good mix of drama, but he got to kind of be a little funny here and there.
Yeah.
Like the funny sibling, the quirky one. And I thought he was actually quite good. But it's odd because he's never done anything similar since. He's never showed any talent since or before, in my opinion. But God, you know what? Wow, I forgot about that. I forgot he was in it, which maybe says quite a lot. But I think that's actually what made me even want to try Armchair to begin with, because I started to like him when I watched that. Isn't that interesting?
Well, he was playing himself, really, right? I mean, that
suppose
was
that's
a
true.
part that was basically written for him.
Yeah.
And when you're playing a character every day for years, I think it's a little bit easier and you get into the swing of things.
Yeah.
You get comfortable with your scene partners, right? I think they knew how to play to his strengths, to be honest. I don't know if he was good or the writers used him well. Like that, I think I'm a bit torn, right? I think maybe he was used well, which is something that I think is easier to do in television. You sort of teach people how to do the role and eventually they're great at it. But yes, he had success as an actor for sure. And his early work, I mean, I wouldn't say he was an A-lister because of it or even a B-lister. I think he was a C-lister because of his early work. But lots of people spend years trying to break into Hollywood and don't get even a tenth of that kind of success. So good for him.
I do want to give a shout out, though, to his movie Idiocracy, because it wasn't my cup of tea, but when I listened to his podcast, I swear to God, almost every guest would bring up that movie and be like, I loved Idiocracy. And on the one hand, I felt bad for him because I was like, here's this one movie from the early 00s that it's maybe the only thing his guests have seen him in. And they'll always just shout that out. Like, it's rare someone comes on and is like, I loved June Without a Paddle, you know? And Idiocracy was always the one. So I'm sure some of you listening loved that movie. But again, it's odd. He had these moments where he got something good and he wouldn't kind of run with that. He would just go off and do other terrible comedy. I don't get it. But anyway.
So now it's Kristen's turn. Kristen Bell was also born in Michigan. She was born in a suburb of Detroit on July 18th, 1980. Her mother was a registered nurse and her father worked as a television news director. Bell's parents divorced when she was a baby, so they were both children of divorce. And she had several siblings who were born after her parents remarried. As a child, Bell's mom found her an agent, and the youngster did local TV commercials and print modeling. So she got into show business, albeit in a low-key way, pretty young. As a kid, Belle hated the name Kristen and actually went by her middle name, which is Anne, until she reached high school. So that was a fact I didn't know about her until I researched her, and that's interesting. She was definitely a theater kid in high school. She was named Best Looking Little Lady as well by her graduating class. So this is sort of the origin story of the small town girl or the suburban girl who seems destined for bigger things, right?
Yeah.
After graduating, she attended NYU's prestigious Tisch School for the Arts. She actually left NYU, just like Anne Hathaway, when she was 6 credits short. And she left to play Becky Thatcher in the Broadway production of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. So she was so close to graduating, but, you know, she got a big girl job on Broadway. It says, Belle, the decision, you get to the point where you don't need a degree to be an actor. I don't know. What do we think of that? Because Anne Hathaway dropped out of NYU as well. Everyone drops out of NYU.
I know. I think it's a good thing. I think they're right. This is one of those careers where, like, you know, that first few gigs means everything. And Tisch is based in New York, which is a massive, massive theater community, like the biggest theater community. For her to get a role on Broadway before she's even graduated is huge.
Yeah.
Good for her that it was the right call.
Yeah. And I mean, you can always go back and finish later if it doesn't work out for you. I'm actually kind of surprised she hasn't done that. That seems like something she would have done, like finished at UCLA or USC or something. So Belle soon relocated to LA and began auditioning around town. Belle did a movie called The King and Queen of Moonlight Bay. She also appeared on an episode of one of my favorite teen shows of all time, Everwood. But her life changed in 2004 when she got the lead role in what I believe to be the best teen series ever made, Veronica Mars.
Yes.
Created by Rob Thomas, the writer and showrunner, not the rock star, the series was basically an edgy modern take on Nancy Drew. The show was important for Belle, and not just because it cemented her place as a starlet. Says Belle, I loved Veronica right off the bat. She was so strong, and I think it is so important because there are so few shows that portray women, especially young women, as being strong and being able to stand up for themselves. The show has a rabid fan following to this day. We, and I'm one of them, even refer to ourselves as marshmallows. And marshmallows, like me, love Veronica Mars for its intersectional, nuanced portrayals of everything from sexual misconduct by teachers to teen pregnancy. Veronica herself is a young woman who survives terrible trauma before becoming a teen detective, including her mom's drinking problem, the murder of her best friend Lily Kane, and date rape. As a rape survivor myself, the idea of a girl who lived through trauma but was capable of solving mysteries and even saving others was incredibly empowering to me. And so I still love this show because of that. And of course, what discussion of Veronica Mars would be complete without mentioning the best CW couple of all time, Logan Echolls and Veronica Mars. Played by Jason Dohring, Logan was originally cast as a villain who antagonized Veronica, but Rob Thomas noticed their chemistry was incredibly hot and quickly transformed them into the show's one true pairing. And thus, the grand tradition of CW shows romanticizing villains you really shouldn't date began. Here's what Logan says to his former lover, Veronica, in season 2. This is when he's declaring his undying love for you, for her, I should say. I dare you not to swoon. He says this, I thought our story was epic, you know. You and me, spanning years and continents, lives ruined and bloodshed. Epic. Ugh. Steph, are you a marshmallow?
I am, and I knew that whole bit by heart. Oh, you and I connected this deeply because I've been a fan for so many years of that show. My sister got me into it. We loved. I remember when they made the movie, like, I guess it's been quite some time now. I was going to say a few years ago, but it's been longer than that. And we, with our friend Andrew, all marshmallows, went to the theater, watched with a bunch of fans. It was the best experience ever. Although, spoiler alert, I despise what happens to this couple in the end. I like to pretend it never happened because I'm with you.
I can't talk about it.
I know. They're one of my favorite TV couples of all time, like deeply, deeply, deeply. I refuse to accept the ending.
No, I refuse to. I won't accept it. I want to sue for emotional trauma.
Same.
No, I loved them. It's such a fantasy. And the movie's such a fantasy, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like your high school boyfriend that you have this amazing connection with, but you're both too mature, calls you because he's been wrongly accused of killing Leighton Meester and only you can save him. Like, you're like, all right, I'm in. That's the movie.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
It's great. I don't want Leighton Meester to die. I'm just saying, like, that's... but it's wish fulfillment. And so this, where they eventually went is not fair.
No, I can't bear it. I don't think about it. It's not true, Sarah. It's just not true.
It's not true. So Veronica Mars definitely earned cult status, but it sadly only lasted 3 seasons. It was later rebooted. It was a movie and also a rebooted TV series. The TV show, as we just said, is dead to us. Rob Thomas, you know what you did.
Amen.
After Veronica Mars was canceled for the first time, Kristen Bell wanted to continue her lucrative work with the CW. And because this lady is a capitalist, she called up network executives and pitched herself for the narrator of Gossip Girl. So as lore goes, she knew she was too old to play one of the kids, but she didn't want to end the relationship because, I mean, it was profitable. So she said, I can be the narrator for this. She had the foresight to understand that this was going to be a big hit and probably that she could make a lot of money. And to this day, when they rebooted Gossip Girl, they paid her a fortune to voice the narrator of Gossip Girl. So this was a good financial decision. This lady is smart.
But I don't think it's just about money. Like, I thought she did such a good job doing the narration.
Mm-hmm.
She's phenomenal at it. She's so good at voice work. When we say Kristen Bell can do anything, Kristen Bell can do anything. Like, Frozen is one thing. When I think of Gossip Girl, and still to this day when I hear her voice, the things are tied so deeply together, even though she was never on the show itself as an actual character, right? It's kind of wild. Although I do wish we did get to have that if we had to have that. Personally, I would rather there was never a Gossip Girl unveiling, but that's a whole other story. And frankly, a different episode that we will link to in the show notes. But yeah, I think she's just so damn good. What do you think, Sarah?
I think she's no one is better at voice work. And I wish they gave Emmys and Oscars for voice work because she would win. She would have several of them. And I think one of the great things about Veronica Mars is she does a lot of voiceovers there and she's excellent. So she knew that this was her skill set. It's something that she was good at. And I actually think being the voice of Gossip Girl might, other than being the voice of Anna, be her most iconic role. Remember the SAG Awards where she parodied Gossip Girl and was pretending to be Gossip Girl? And everyone loved it. It wasn't even funny. It wasn't even well written. And everybody just ate it up. So I feel like in some ways, like this woman will never fade into obscurity because of the voiceover work. Even if you can't recognize the way she looks years from now, everyone will know that voice. Even if you can't say, oh, that's Kristen Bell, you'll know that's Anna, that's Gossip Girl, right? Everybody knows her voice.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, it's a smart long-term plan. You know, it goes back to that amazing thing that she has done these projects that are so essential to different generations. And her voice being a part of it, not just her face. It's so genius. I gotta say, I love me a go-getter. I do feel like she connected these dots, and I also love that she called the network and asked for the role, because honestly, I would do that, and I feel like you would do that. And I love people like that. I like people who work hard, they know what they want, and they go for it. And she knew at this point she had an edge. I support it.
Oh, yeah, I definitely support it. I think it was smart. We've talked about her voiceover work. It's iconic. I mean, it's one of my favorite things that she does. I think she truly treats it as an art form, not as an easy payday. Definitely, I think it is a good payday, but she takes it seriously. There are some actors, even actors I like, where I want them to do voiceover work. And you think, okay, you phoned it in here. You just were here for the money. You don't get this. You don't understand how to do it. You don't seem to care. And one thing I like about Kristen Bell is you can put her in the worst stuff and she will try her hardest. So no matter what she's doing, that woman comes to work.
Yeah, I completely agree and I love it.
And now it is time for a short break. And we're back. As it happens, 2007 was not just a good professional year for Belle. It's also when she met her life partner, actor, podcast producer, and director Dax Shepard. The pair first crossed paths at a sushi dinner party, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I would love to go to a sushi dinner party, by the way.
Same.
Apparently, there was initially no spark. But when the two met again 2 weeks later at a Detroit Red Wings game, sports brought them together and they started dating. Belle has said that she is attracted to Shepard's, quote, commitment to growth at all times. And to be fair, while I don't love Shepard, he's in the recovery space. He's tried different things professionally. He is working on growth. I do get that. And despite her description of him as, quote, her total opposite, she also admires him for this reason. She feels, and I'm quoting her, nothing is sexier than him being a good human. So I'm wondering if she's rethinking that today, but that is something she has said. Anyway, Dax and Kristen became a beloved Hollywood couple in a way that boosted each other's profiles, and they collaborated on projects like 2012's Hit and Run, which they recently promoted on Jimmy Kimmel because it's now going to be on Netflix.
Oh.
Dax wrote that and directed it. Kristen starred in it. He starred in it too. They were also big oversharers, regaling us with details no one asked for about their private life, such as when Kristen Bell shaved Dax's backside for his performance in the 2014 movie This Is Where I Leave You. They could frequently be seen kissing on red carpets. The pair even shared some of their home movies from a 2012 trip to Tanzania and Rwanda, set to Toto's Africa. And of course, the pair have leveraged their relationship for money on many occasions, appearing together in commercials for brands like Samsung and Hello Bello. Dax and Kristen also share two daughters, Lincoln and Delta. The former is named after Dax's cherished 1967 Lincoln Continental, a fact the couple has made very public, and I find very embarrassing for them.
Oh, God. He's such a typical old-fashioned guy. Ugh.
So, Steph, do you like Dax and Kristen, what they've become? So, do you
What they've become?
like the fact that they've monetized their relationship? I mean, they do everything together, which is sweet, but it's also really commercializing their love.
If commercializing their love, I love that. You know what's funny? When I was a fan of both of theirs, I liked it. I was all in. I thought it was charming, and I thought they made like a good match in terms of selling themselves. Like they're good at kind of playing off each other. I liked it. But it got to the point where it was just too much. And again, I feel like he brings her down. You know, it goes back to what you were saying before, overexposure. He also has a bit of that. And I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said, good stuff for you financially for sure. When you pitch yourself as a couple, I think it's helped them both stay quite relevant over the years. And listen, you see any story about Hollywood couples, about marriage lasting, these two often get mentioned. They've cracked something. They are many people's dream couple or couple goals. They're not mine, but they are for a lot of people. I think it's kind of smart marketing wise.
Yeah. I mean, their marriage is an empire, really, actually.
Oh, I love that. But here's the interesting thing. It's like they're pitching that on the outside. I don't know that it's so great on the inside. I don't buy it.
Okay. So you think secretly that they're just not talking at night? What do you think is happening?
I don't know that it's that necessarily, but I go back to that quote that you mentioned where Kristen said that he's actually her total opposite. I don't buy that opposites attract, really. I think you got to have a little bit more in common. And I feel like I got to know him well enough listening to the podcast for as long as I did. And I was constantly confused how these two were together. Like, I just didn't understand. Again, I don't know them actually, so who knows? But I feel like they've settled into something, and I'm not sure I believe that it's just so perfect and fun and funny all the time. I just don't.
Well, here's something they have in common: moral outrage. They're also both very smug. So we're going to transition to talk about what became the no kids policy. So this is something that started in the 2010s. Dax and Kristen Bell really drove it, actually, the no kids policy. Halle Berry was also involved, as was Jennifer Garner. But I have to say, I think Dax and Kristen became the face of this policy. And it aims to get photos of kids out of the tabloids. Bell explained in an interview with Ellen DeGeneres that kids can't understand why they're being followed. And so, quote, all they feel is that predatory feeling of being hunted. She also explained she and Dax chose to be public people and her kids didn't, which is a decent argument.
Yeah.
And so she really spearheaded this. It was pretty successful and led to Dax and Bell confronting a PAP live on Access Hollywood in 2014. I still remember that, actually.
Oh,
I still remember that interview. Look it up. When they spotted a PAP in front of their kid's school in 2018, Bell also bravely tapped on the car and told him, quote, hello, my name's Kristen. Do you know how much you are putting my kids at risk? Dax was vocal too. He wrote an op-ed in HuffPo in 2014 on the subject of no kids policy. So he was referring to basically people who like seeing pictures of kids in magazines. And so he was arguing that hopefully the policy would succeed because we are betting on the chance that they like kids enough to protect them from constantly being overshadowed by strange men, not trying to be sexist. I'm sure there are plenty of strange women in the ROTC game. We pray that one of the classier weeklies, like People, will enact a no kids policy and that they will be rewarded by the consumer for doing so. And we hope that leads to others following suit. Okay, so it's a decent argument, and that was what they were trying to achieve. Ultimately, several publications and outlets, including Entertainment Tonight, People Magazine, and The Today Show, stopped using paparazzi photos of celebrity children. Here's the thing. I actually think if this had happened today, I don't know if the coverage of them would have been as glowing. I don't know if they would have been seen as heroic because they are people who, kind of the way influencers do today, really marketed themselves using a relationship. They would tell fit stories about their family. They still do. Yes, when they post pictures of their kids on Instagram, they put emojis over their faces, but they show you the pictures. You know what their kids were dressed as for Halloween. You know stories about them. You see the couple making out. You know, hear stories about the kids. They talk about their family constantly on late night. And so what's interesting here, I don't want to blame the victim, But they did create this appetite for news about their kids by being so public about their relationship and by oversharing it. Some people have made that argument. So do we think that that's a good argument or not? Do we think that? Because people will say that about influencers today. Sure, you're not showing me the picture of your kid's face, but you're telling me a story about them that might embarrass them one day.
Oh, that's interesting. I think you're so right. I mean, their whole brand is we are your next door neighbor family. Like, get to know us, you're friends with us, we're all in this together. Like, they like the parasocial relationship,
Yeah.
they court it. So you're so right. I find it definitely at odds. At the same time, I do think it's great they did the no kids policy. I remember before then, most photos you could find any celebrity's kids, but now since then, yeah, they're blurred out in paparazzi photos, or you just won't see them. It's so weird to think these guys would like wait outside their kids' preschools. Like, come on. But you're right. You're right. It's definitely at odds. I mean, again, I think this adds to that theory that they're selling one thing, but something else is happening for real at home.
Yeah, and it's interesting. And I don't mind the policy. I think the policy is great. And the policy existed in the UK magazines way before it got to the US, right? I remember reading Hello as a kid, and you couldn't see the faces of the children, right? You couldn't. So this was long overdue. What is interesting is I think that they would have received more criticism as the face of this policy.
Yeah.
If they were crusading today, just because we've become so much more aware of how people can exploit their kids for financial gain. And I'm not saying that that's what they're doing, but I think people would have likened them to influencers, right? They would have likened them to parent influencers and would have said, okay, this isn't a good look. You don't have the credibility to do this. It's not like they were Cate Blanchett, who doesn't really tell you about her kids, who is more of an actor than a celebrity, doesn't really want your parasocial relationship, right? Doesn't want it. She doesn't want it. She just wants to do her job. And they are not like that.
Yes, I agree. I also was just thinking, like, can we make some comparisons to other celebrity couples? Like the one that they tend to remind me of is Blake and Ryan, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, right? That's a good comparison, I feel. Those two also sell a family image. We know quite a lot about their kids. Taylor Swift even sings about their kids.
Yeah.
Their children even have their voices on her music. And those two are constantly selling themselves as a unit. And yet, I don't know. I feel like it's interesting because I feel like they're more palatable than these two. And I wonder if you agree with me.
No, I find it just as hypocritical because Blake Lively was also very vocal about the paparazzi. And I agree, the paparazzi shouldn't be photographing kids because it's about the safety of the children. I don't care what the parents are doing, but they're not helping, in my opinion, by manufacturing that interest in their children.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree in that sense. But when I say palatable, I mean, I think they get off a little easier. Like, I think they're a little more squeaky clean. Like, I don't think they appear as rough around the edges as Kristen and Dax do. And maybe that's because Kristen and Dax do share a little too much. And they share anecdotes that come off terribly. Whereas with Blake and Ryan, you don't get that a lot of the time, right? Like, they're very careful about how they sell themselves. These two, I feel like, are a little more lax. They need their publicist, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, they have a different image and they're very LA, whereas Blake and Ryan are very suburbs of Connecticut, right? They're very New York, but we live in Connecticut, which is its own subset of rich person, right? It's kind of, well, we know she idolizes Martha Stewart. It's very Martha Stewart, right?
Yeah.
The term I'm going to use is waspier. It's a little bit waspier. They act waspier. Whereas Kristen Bell, yes, she is a blonde white lady, but doesn't act that way. And I mean, maybe it's because they're from Michigan. They do both identify, I think, with a lot of working class culture and politics. So maybe they just feel that that's how you act. Although that is classist in and of itself to be a rich person who thinks that working class people have no dignity and have no boundaries, right? That is classist in and of itself.
Yeah, but that's an interesting point because I do think that's why Dax and Kristen feel more relatable to the average person. On top of that, the fact that you can listen to Dax at any time, at home, in the car, at work, makes it feel like that relationship is even stronger, right? That he's in your home, like he's your friend, and that she's in just about everything for every generation viewer. So she can also be your friend at all times. These two have tapped into something in a really smart way. However, I'm really fascinated by how recently they've kind of thrown people off. Like, it's such a fine line. It's a little bit maddening. Like, sometimes I don't really blame them for being as open as they've become, because people have been on this ride with them this whole time.
Mm-hmm. As successful as Dax is, Kristen Bell's career might be even more impressive. And I really believe that, actually. While the actress has always worked steadily, she achieved the coveted Disney princess status when she portrayed the voice of the sweet Anna in 2013's Frozen. She's actually my favorite. I don't know if you identify as more of an Elsa or an Anna. I feel like I'm probably more of an Elsa, but I prefer Anna.
Yeah, I co-sign. I feel the same way, yes.
The film grossed more than $1.2 billion at the box office and inspired Disney to create frozen lands at some of its theme parks. Yes, I had to take my daughter to Hong Kong Disneyland to see their frozen land, and Elsa lived up to the status as Ice Queen because she would come see people but would refuse to take pictures with you. And I've never seen a Disney character do that, so I don't know if she's just super in character.
Huh.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird. So do you think that Frozen really cemented her? Like, I think at this point she's too big to fail because, they want to make more Frozen movies. There are Frozen lands at Disney. Disney's never going to let her become persona non grata. That's terrible for their IP.
Yeah, I mean, it's a slam dunk. And listen, her voiceover work is amazing. And she has always sounded like a Disney princess. She has a gorgeous voice. Like,
yep.
And it's not just that she sounds like a Disney princess. Her acting style is very theater kid, just like Anne Hathaway, who we discussed a couple weeks ago. Like, she can dance, she can sing, she can do everything, and she can do it all really, really well. I think, honestly, it's a perfect match.
Yes, a match made in heaven. Well, other lucrative voice roles followed because Kristen did Frozen 2 in 2019. And then she also, I would say, had a bit of a career, I don't think renaissance, but kind of went up a level. She did The Good Place, which was a critically acclaimed comedy series about ethics and the afterlife. And that's beloved by a lot of people, but it also had a fair amount of mainstream success, right? And she got to act alongside comedy legend Ted Danson. This did cement for me, however, that she is terrible at having chemistry with people because I feel like she and Chidi, despite both being beautiful people, I felt like she did not have chemistry with him. She can only have chemistry with Jason Dohring. And so this makes me believe that they were secretly in love.
Oh, that's an interesting theory. I got to sit with that. I mean, I don't know. I think she's got chemistry with Adam Brody. She had more chemistry with Ted Danson, didn't she?
Yeah, she had chemistry with Ted Danson. But do you think she and Adam Brody really have chemistry?
Oh gosh, now I have to think about it because I'm not watching the new season. I find it a little too Zionisty, but oh God, I have to say with that. I know a lot of people feel that they do not have any.
No. And you know what? It might be that he's the problem because in the episode where Leighton Meester guest stars, he is such a bad actor that he cannot pretend not to be in love with his wife for one scene. She comes in and he's like, that's the girl I like. Like, he's just like focused on her and it's kind of romantic. There's a point where she delivers a line and it is really funny. And he's just like gazing at her adoringly and laughing at her. And I'm like, if I were Kristen Bell's character, Joanne, in this scene, I'd be like, why are you flirting with the mom at your job? Right? That never comes up, bizarrely. So I can't tell if it's just that he's a bad actor and it's not her fault. But other than Jason Dohring, I can't point to a time where she had good chemistry. She did not have good chemistry with Don Cheadle on House of Lies.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That was bad.
Terrible
that was really
chemistry.
bad. Yikes.
I think she's the common denominator. I think she's not. I think as an actor, she's good at many things. I think she's not good at cultivating chemistry, which is a skill.
I'm literally looking up her projects because I'm like, I want to debunk this, Sarah, but I think you are correct. Like, I can't. Yikes. I mean, it really was just Jason Dohring, wasn't it?
So I don't know if they hooked up or or they always wanted to. I don't know what happened, but they were firecrackers. I've never seen chemistry like that before.
Well, I think that at frenemies, enemies to lovers thing works really well for her. I think that's such a good dynamic that she plays out. But I think that's also a casting issue because I don't even know that I would blame her necessarily, to be honest. Because I think of the Don Cheadle one especially, I was so perplexed by that casting.
It's also a really inappropriate relationship because he was her boss.
Yeah, it was not. I didn't love that show.
No, it's a bad show. But Kristen definitely survived that show. She was on The Good Place. She always makes the most of her career. There was a slight misstep for the couple in 2023. And I should say slight misstep because that's how the world reacted to it. I'm not saying it's actually a slight misstep. I think it was a big misstep. But Dax and Kristen shared a photo of an Idaho dinner party that they threw, and it was attended by exclusively white people like Jennifer Aniston and Jason Bateman, with the only exception being Olivia Munn, who was there with John Mulaney. Must have been very uncomfortable for her.
It was such a strange photo. I can't forget it. It was quite chilling, actually.
Yes. The controversy didn't seem to hold the pair back at all. People forgot about that pretty quickly. And I think it was because they had this reservoir of goodwill. I think at that time, they definitely still had that. And of course, Kristen Bell became the woman of the hour the next year in 2024 when she portrayed Joanne in season 1 of Nobody Wants This, a smash hit Netflix romantic comedy that saw her play opposite the internet's new favorite husband, Adam Brody. The show was quickly greenlit for season 2, and it looked as if everyone would love Kristen Bell forever and ever until she marked her 12th wedding anniversary in an ill-fated Instagram post. On October 17th, 2025, Belle posted a pic of the couple embracing and wrote, "Happy 12th wedding anniversary to the man who once said to me, 'I would never kill you.' A lot of men have killed their wives at a certain point. Even though I'm heavily incentivized to kill you, I never would." Well, the world did not take kindly to this. In what was actually a funny but pointed remark, Dateline commented on the post like this, screenshotted, which was a good way of pointing out that this is an inappropriate joke. It's not funny. If your husband actually says this to you, you should be scared. Also, how is he incentivized to kill her? I don't understand on what level he's incentivized. On a crass level, you could say that some people are worth more dead than alive, even if you don't love them, right? Like, even if it has nothing to do with love, it just has to do with money. But that is clearly not the case for Kristen. Clearly not. So there's no incentive to kill her whatsoever.
Yeah. I mean, he sounds like the typical, and he sounded like this on his podcast always, but like that typical husband, like sitcom husband, who's a little bit resentful of her success. And at the same time is like, ugh, women, they're always pulling you back. They got to fight about everything, blah, blah, blah. Like he has that whole thing. This felt like it was living inside that mentality. I thought it was very unfortunate. And again, a good example of where they've just taken it too far.
So the post rankled people for many reasons. First, it was Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the US. In America, 1,100 women die from intimate partner violence each year. A total of 34% of women who are murdered die at the hands of an intimate partner. So it's not exactly pearl clutching to point out that making light of the idea of a man killing his wife is really inappropriate. That's not people just clutching their pearls. It is inappropriate. It's problematic. It normalizes this kind of talk. And at the very worst, what it does, even if this is just a joke, is when another woman hears this from her husband, she might think, oh, it's just a joke, right? Because it's desensitizing us to it, right? This is something where if someone says this to you, you should be able to take this information to the police and they should take it seriously and not just say, well, men joke about stuff like that. Men should not joke about stuff like that. And it wasn't just commenters on social media who were outraged, as well as Dateline. In response to the post, a spokesperson for the National Network to End Domestic Violence told Page Six, quote, "There's nothing funny about domestic violence jokes. That trivializes the very real fear, trauma, and pain that millions of victims and survivors face each day." Amen. To date, Kristen Bell has neither deleted the post nor apologized for it. Dax has also been keeping mum on this fallout. Sadaf, what do you make of it? Are we collectively overreacting to some dark humor, or is this something Bell and Shepard should be taking more seriously?
I do think it's an overreaction. I mean, listen, I am someone who sometimes takes my jokes a little too far, where, like, I'm very careful of who I say goofy things around, because people can easily take them the wrong way. And I think these two tend to forget that the whole world can read what they're writing and putting on their social media. I think they took it a little too far for the world's sense of humor. However, I think the bigger issue here is that people were already kind of over these two. Like, it's just been too much. And then this just tipped things a little too far. Like, they've also talked a lot about how they're a naked family. They love to be naked. They've taken pictures of themselves and their kids naked, and they like to tan their butts together. They scream a lot together. They're always fighting, whatever. Like, there's so much lore to the conflict and tension and weirdness. And I think people were just like, okay, enough. It's too much now. Like, I don't want to hear this. And then on top of that, it comes off quite insensitive. I think that's the real issue here, personally. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's the issue. And I don't know how much they have ever done for survivors of domestic violence. So it would be nice if they gave a donation and said, listen, this is a joke. We like to laugh, but obviously this is also a real issue. It would be nice if they said that we actually care about this issue when it's serious. They also have 2 daughters. That's why I think it's really weird that they are making light of this. And I know Kristen Bell identifies as a feminist. I don't know. I feel this very strange. I do believe humor is humor. But I think you are right that people were primed for this reaction to an extent because they were just too successful. But it is an inappropriate joke. And even if you don't think it's inappropriate, you should be aware, if you're Kristen Bell, the people are waiting to take you down. And so maybe play it safe right now. You're too successful.
I think that's the thing, because I also think it's a bit wild. Like, I see where you're going, Sarah, but I think it's a bit wild at the same time that for them to make this quote unquote joke that didn't land well and then feeling like they've got to go make a donation to charity. Like, imagine every time you make a terrible joke and you got to like make a quick little donation to charity. Like, I think they've forgotten. It's that same thing. They've forgotten that the world is their audience. Like, some things are not meant to be shared. And that goes for all us normal people too. Like, I'm not going to share my dirty laundry at every dinner that I go to or at work, you know, like, I'm careful about who I share those things with. These two have forgotten that plot. And everybody's already like, I know too much about you, enough. Like, it's that meme. I know more about them, and it's very much against my will at this rate. I think it's just over capacity.
Yeah. And as I said before, Kristen Bell is too big to fail. So it didn't make an impact.
No, it wouldn't.
She did not girl boss too close to the sun, as Taylor Swift's canceled warns us women can do. In fact, the hubbub over Bell joking about her husband killing her, while it angered people, it did not have a dent at all on her bank account. The month after the unfortunate post, she inked a deal to make $60 million to appear in further Frozen sequels. And on November 4th, 2025, Nobody Wants This was officially greenlit for season 3. So the couple also appeared on Jimmy Kimmel on November 25th. So that ended up being fine. He didn't ask them any hard questions. And as much as Jimmy Kimmel is in people's good graces right now because of what Jimmy went through and what Disney did to him, I was a little bit angry about how he let them get off entirely. Like, he didn't even make an allusion to the post. He didn't say anything at all and just let them play a game about Thanksgiving. What are you grateful for? So they are clearly not going to address this, right? They went on as a couple. I don't know if that was to rehabilitate their image or if it actually was to promote Hit and Run, their movie that is now on Netflix, their movie from a long time ago. I suspect they might not have done quite the same tour for Hit and Run had they not been trying to change the news cycle. That's just my theory. I think that was a response to the backlash in some ways. And they did not learn their lesson about sharing only certain details, because Dax made headlines by saying that they pay people to put up their Christmas decorations. And I'm sure this is something rich people do, but why are you talking about it? And his joke about why they do that is because my wife made too much money. So I find that interesting because while she is being paid $60 million for Frozen sequels, he literally got an $80 million contract in 2024. So I feel like they're both making too much money, but I guess he thought it was more palatable to say, like, my wife's the one who makes too much money, not me, right? Look, it's kind of gender swapped. My wife's so rich. I'm like, you make very comparable paydays.
It's also because it follows that pattern that I was saying where like he likes to play like he's the begrudging husband, right? When the reality is it's not like that at all. He's doing very well for himself and has his own business with the podcast. But this is so fascinating to me, Sarah, that it's not very often we see a couple go on late night together.
I know.
I think you're so right. It was damage control. And it's fascinating because they're not actually addressing the damage. But here's the other part of it. They're very good friends with Jimmy Kimmel.
Yes,
so Jimmy Kimmel, it doesn't have to address it and probably doesn't want to.
No.
And is going to play it very safe. And there's a reason they go on Jimmy Kimmel versus, I don't know, Stephen Colbert. Like all of this stuff is so calculated. And then at the same time, I have to say, like the Jimmy Kimmel drama, just long story short, if you're not aware, Disney was going to cancel his late night show that's been around forever because presumably he'd been making digs at Donald Trump. I mean, who the hell hasn't? And Donald deserves those digs. But what was interesting to me is that afterwards, the whole world imploded, it seemed. And by world, I really mean Hollywood. Coming to his rescue and saying, how dare you? He's a comedian. He's a legend. You can't do this. They reversed the cancellation news. Now, I also think it was bullshit to cancel his show for that reason. That's disgusting. That's censorship. But I'm also really disgusted by how Hollywood really only protects its own. They don't actually give a shit about the root problems here, like conservatism taking hold. None of this stuff matters to them for real. In fact, they're the ones who are helping make Elon Musk and Zuckerberg and all these people celebrities. It's not just social media that does that. They're helping, right? Like Katy Perry went to space for a reason. Anyway, so I just find all of these people to be really hollow shells. And I feel the same way about Jimmy Kimmel. And if he can help these two out by giving them like a little bullshit press run, why wouldn't he? Like these people are all shells or shills. And I just can't stand it. I can't stand it.
Well, I would say on that note, we should have another short break. This brings us to our final segment. Hindsight is 2025. That's where we choose the one moment that we might have handled differently if we were the subject of today's story. So I guess you could be Dax or Kristen. Your choice, Steph. What would you have done differently?
I wish Kristen didn't marry Dax. You know why? Because I don't even think we'd have Armchair if it wasn't for that. Like, I think she's let him believe that he's wonderful and he's not. And now he has this massive platform and the world is telling him he's wonderful and he's not. And I actually think these two I don't think their marriage is all that amazing at home. They often have discussed on the podcast how much they argue. They're not that amazing, and I feel like she could do so much better. I blame him also for making me tired of her because I loved her for so long and now I need a break. What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. Nothing emboldens a man like marrying a woman who's out of his league, right? Because men never think they're marrying someone who's out of their league. They assume they're in that league, right? Or even usually men think they're a little bit better than their wives. I would say most heterosexual men seem to think that they're smarter or more talented or better on some level than their wives. He definitely believes he's smarter than Kristen, which he is not. Yeah. He is not smarter than Kristen. He fervently believes that, I can tell. I mean, I've never met the man, but you get the vibe that he thinks he's the smarter one. Kind of like how Ben Affleck always thought he was smarter than Jennifer Garner when it's very obvious Jennifer Garner is a genius.
Oh, yeah. I agree.
Yeah. And I know you love Ben Affleck, but he went through this period where he dated beautiful woman after beautiful woman who was, probably at a certain point out of his league. Gwyneth Paltrow, Jennifer Lopez, Jennifer Garner. And he just sort of thought, that's the league I'm in. In fact, I'm better than these women, right? That's why they all want me. I'm the common denominator.
Yeah, I agree. You know what they need? They need an Olivia Pope. They need somebody who is specifically dedicated to this brand that they relentlessly want to put out there. Like they want to be the perfect family and couple. Okay, can someone help them do this? Because they're so sloppy about it. Like, you know what I was thinking of? One thing that I cannot forget, because they've had quite a few skirmishes together, but this one lives on in my mind. Also on the Ellen DeGeneres show. You know why? Because they were also very good friends with Ellen DeGeneres. But anyway, there was an episode where I believe they might have even come on together on that one. I can't remember, but Kristen talks about how she just loves Indian men, and she's just so attracted to Indian men. And she talks about how her biggest crush is Riz Ahmed, and she was on the red carpet with Dax, and Dax helped kind of like play wingman a little bit, and like he told Riz, my wife is obsessed with you, and she went up to Riz and was like, I'm very attracted to you, and they were like, Riz was very uncomfortable.
That's gross.
Yeah, and it's also like, I understand that they think they're coming off really inclusive, but actually you sound like you're objectifying the guy and Indian men in general. And mind you, Riz is not Indian, he's Pakistani, so it's just like
yeah, exactly. You sound ignorant and you're fetishizing someone. Like that's just Orientalism, right? Also, even if you weren't racialized, if anyone you go up to and say something like that is just really uncomfortable, especially if you're the bigger celebrity, right? I'm thinking if they went up to, I don't know, like the guy who plays Conrad on The Summer I Turned Pretty, and she said, I have a huge crush on you. That's also inappropriate, right? Because you're more famous, you have more influence, you're on the red carpet, so he's kind of trapped, and what's he supposed to say? He can't get away. That is not a good use of your power or your fame. So gross. Okay, my new answer is I wouldn't have done that. That's my mindset is 2025.
I know that one made me sad as a brown person, and I think people think I should like it, but I don't. No, I think these two have forgotten that they're very, what's the word? Like they've forgotten that they're not just like this person across the hall or who you went to school with. Like you have power and you're a celebrity. You can't just walk up to people and talk like that. Also, I don't know that Riz knows your lore, okay? Like he's not going to be like, oh, LOL, it's you two. Like he's going
to be like, do I have to have a threesome with you or I'll never get to do a voice for Disney? Like, I don't know, right? These are powerful people. So that's really weird.
I must say, so maybe I should have mentioned this earlier, but I once profiled Kristen Bell for the National Post.
Oh, okay.
And it was like a dream thing, because this was also when I was still deeply in love with her. So I had this big interview with her. I've never been more nervous in my life. I wore a shirt with little orange foxes all over it because I knew that she would love it, and she did. And it couldn't have been happier. She was so kind to me, and she made direct eye contact, and she asked me about me for quite some time and was just so lovely. And it's one of my favorite interviews actually that I've ever done, because I felt like she was really personable, and I don't know, I really connected with her. Mind you, again, it's like 1 hour out of her whole life. She's going to be good with journalists. But I kind of understood the sell. Like she is very charming, and she does take her time with each person, and she does make you feel like you are the only person in the room. Like she was wonderful. And she shared my story later on Instagram, and she let me know like she loved it. And she and Dax own Hello Bello, which is the kids brand and diaper brand. And she sent me a massive box of diapers because she loved the story. I was like, you know what? I don't have a child. I found it fascinating that that's what she sent me, because I was like, we had this whole conversation. I don't even think we discussed Dax. And then I was kind of doubled down and reminded that these two are a couple. They're both for sale. And I'm going to send you this because this is part of my marketing and my brand.
But who are you supposed to give that to?
You know what? I was debating either giving them to you or giving them to my other friend. Her baby was more age appropriate. So I was like, let me take it over there. Because I was just like, what? I don't know anyone with children really other than you two. But my point being, in 1 hour, I was able to understand the whole Kristen Bell of it all. She was wonderful. She knew how to connect with a journalist, and she was just a great interview. And then on top of that, sending me the diapers because it's a reminder that Dax is a part of this too. And maybe you'll mention this in the story too. And I can never forget it. It was really fascinating. She won me over and then had me questioning things all in 1 week.
She's really good at being a celebrity. Like I have to say, as much as this post was a bit of a controversy. It's going to blow over. She has become too big to fail. She's gotten to that point where she will be a household name forever. She will always work. They need to make Frozen 18 or whatever, right? They can't ever throw her out. If she wants to get a movie made, Disney will make it for her because she's Anna, right? So they'll also give her other TV shows. She has an in with the most powerful entertainment company in the world. It's fine. She will always be okay.
But I think that's the big question, though, right? Like, if they were to ever split, which could happen, how will they each fare? And I think you're right. She's always going to be okay. In fact, she might do even better because people love a woman scorned who carries on and rises from the ashes. And frankly, she will be better without him. She will be.
Yeah.
Now, how
She's
will
Jennifer
he
Aniston
fare?
without him.
Yeah. So how will Dax fare?
Not well. He needs a wife or else he comes off as creepy, right? He comes off as kind of like, I don't know, kind of the kooky guy if he's married. Otherwise, he comes off as really creepy, like the creepy older guy you meet at the bar. So he needs a wife, and he needs an age-appropriate wife. And also, he needs the story of I've been married for years, right? If he gets a new wife and he hasn't been with her for years, still comes off as creepy. So he needs her. He needs Kristen.
Isn't it funny? It sounds like we're talking about politicians. Like he needs to project family values. This is how we talk about politicians.
At this point, he's a podcaster.
Yeah, and a single politician / a single celebrity who is also a podcaster is a chilling concept. You know, they can't lead us into anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I think podcasters have to, if they want to have credibility, have a similar vibe. I think you hit the nail on the head to politicians. I could also see him running for office. Don't you see a world where he's governor of California? I want that for Kim Kardashian. I think that she's earned that. And I do believe she might get that. But Dax Shepard could run for governor. I really think he could be the governor of California.
I could see it.
Yeah. And then Kristen Bell as first lady of California. Right. She'd just win that for him.
She'd be so cute at that.
She would be.
Movie they need to make, or will not need, but I feel like they'd want to make. But you're right, it would serve his ego very well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, he has a big ego, and I mean, it must be hard on some days to be married to her because she's so successful, right? She has win after win. But I do think that he probably justifies it by saying, well, I'm successful in an intellectual space. Not that Armchair Expert is intellectual. Like, this is not NPR, people. It's not Radio Lab. It is not doing really impressive work. But I have to say, having forced myself to listen to it, he's a good conversationalist.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not a good interviewer, but he is a good conversationalist.
He is. There's a reason why I listened to the show as long as I did. He's not all bad. Fine. I'll admit it. Fine. And there's a reason he has Monica Padman by his side. I see it. They're all smart marketers, Sarah. They know what they're doing.
Monica Padman is fascinating to me, but good for her. I mean, she has found a niche, which everyone in the entertainment industry would envy that pretty much, what she has done. I don't like that she's just his hype man, but
I despise it. And I think she's secretly in love with Dax, but that is a story for another time.
Is it secret though? Is that a secret?
Maybe not. You know what my my theory. Kristen loves that because Monica can just fill in where Kristen can't, you know? Monica is the fill-in wife. She cares for Dax quite a lot. Like, I'm not joking, guys. Like, she often discusses when Dax is sick, how much she tends to him. They really are a throuple. They really are. Anyway.
I mean, if they actually are, like, for reals, that makes them more interesting and maybe more functional, in my opinion.
True.
Right?
That's true.
They figured out their limitations. But I think if they were, they'd tell us because these people have no boundaries and they don't really care about anything that might be controversial. So I don't know. I don't think that it's official, but I agree that she is his emotional second wife.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. And if you like, and if you want to listen to more of us, we hope you do, you can find The Reheat for free on the Seeker app. You can also find the show on the Frequency Podcast Network or wherever you get your podcasts. If you want to hear more from me, you can find me on Instagram at SahagianSarah. And Sadaf, where can our listeners find you?
Listeners can find me on Twitter at _Steph Hassan and on Instagram at Canada Whore. And if you liked this podcast, rate, review, subscribe. That way everyone can find us. And if you'd like us to keep growing, we'd love for you to support us on Patreon at patreon.com/The Reheat, where we've got so many goods in store for you. Thank you for listening.